A lot of times people overcomplicate things because they're trying to extrapolate money from you. Be careful out there. You know what I mean? What's up, family? Welcome to this episode of Stack Sats or Die Trying. This is the Bitcoin only show brought to you by the Hood. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy. Just want to say shout out to everybody who supports the movement, the show, Stack Sats or Die Trying. Shout out to all those who have started stacking sats. And I know you have because I see people using Fold as well as Swan and Strike. And by the way, the affiliate links for all the various ways I stacked are in the description of the show as well as the show notes. Shout out to all the audio listeners and shout out to those that I see in public, because I have seen some folks in public. They see the t-shirt, they're like, yo, I know exactly what that is. So shout out to all you, man. With that being said, got a quick show for you this Monday. Show is dropping a little bit late. I got a lot going on. Like I'm telling you, I'm in the process of moving, and moving is the absolute worst. I'm in my new abode right now, though. But I definitely want to drop the show. It's probably going to be out around noon on Monday. And I usually have it a couple hours before then. But I told you, every Monday I'm trying to bring some Bitcoin news, information to the culture, man. This episode is about a couple things. The first thing is politics and Bitcoin, right? So if anybody is a fan of By the Hood, you know that we talk about being politically astute and aware of what's going on around you. And why you can't just get money and ignore politics. You can't. You got to understand how they work together. But I also talk about, and as it pertains to Bitcoin, Bitcoin does not care about your political leanings, right? Some people try to make Bitcoin this right-wing thing. Some people try to make Bitcoin this left-wing thing. And this, I'm not here to talk about what's right, what's wrong, because everybody has their own opinions based on their lived life experience. But what I will say is, Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin is for everybody, right? Bitcoin is for your enemy. If there's someone who behaves in a way that you don't agree with, Bitcoin is there for them as well, even as much as you may hate it, right? Bitcoin doesn't care about your feelings. I've said it several shows. We've seen the current administration trying to come down heavy-handed on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin didn't care. Bitcoin continued to operate. TikTok, another block. But here's what I find interesting. And let me share this for those that are watching the video. You'll be able to see the article. For those that are just listening in, I'll read a little bit of the article. I will put this article in the show notes so you can take a look at the article if you want to. It's from Bitcoin Magazine, and like I've always been saying, gonna keep repeating it. Bitcoin can care less about your politics. But this is talking about something that's getting ready to happen in the beginning of July. And again, make sure I read this so those that are listening to the audio get some context. It says, leaked Biden admin to attend Bitcoin roundtable with key congressional officials in D.C. So it's a proposed meeting led by U.S. Congressman Ro Khanna, and is set to discuss how to keep Bitcoin and blockchain innovation inside the U.S. So as much as the politicians and the powers that be want to be anti-Bitcoin, doesn't matter, because Bitcoin can care less about, how you feel about it, or, what kind of destruction you think it will bring to civilization and to our current systems. It's going to continue to move. So you have nothing to do but capitulate. Reading a little bit more of the article, it says U.S. Congressman Ro Khanna, representing California's 17th Congressional District, is set to host a Bitcoin and blockchain roundtable in Washington, D.C. in early July, according to a private email sent by Khanna's office, which was seen by Bitcoin Magazine. So they're calling this the most significant meeting between policymakers and innovation leaders in blockchain to date. So it's expected to feature officials from the Biden administration, the House and Senate, alongside American businessman Mark Cuban, according to the email. The primary objective of this meeting is to strategize on how to keep Bitcoin and blockchain innovation within the U.S. This is seen as a response to former President Donald Trump's recent endorsements of the Bitcoin industry. Trump has recently become the first president to accept Bitcoin Lightning payments for campaign donations. And again, I'm not getting into the politics of this all, but because my politics are Bitcoin, right? It sounds crazy to a lot of folks because, I'm always talking about being politically aware, and I do try to stay politically aware, specifically local, but also on the state and federal level. But the one thing I understand about the technology of Bitcoin and technology in general is technology does not care about your feelings. So I know people look at Bitcoin different ways depending upon what the price action is doing. as you're watching this, we're going through another drop in Bitcoin. My prediction is this morning I see it at about 61. I think sometime during this Monday on the 24th, we're going to go below 60. That's just my personal opinion, because it's looking at price action and how price action has been behaving. But with that being said, it doesn't matter to me. That's an opportunity for me to buy more, because once you understand the value proposition, you don't care about the price. I know that doesn't work for most people. Psychologically, it doesn't work for most people. But I also know that people feel differently about Bitcoin depending upon the price. And some of the things that you hear from a political standpoint or how it affects us as people and as humans will change depending upon the price. But the one thing I know is the technology doesn't care. And the fact that the Bitcoin community, which is the strongest community in the quote unquote crypto sector, has value in itself. People don't understand the idea of the network. And again, I'm not going to go over all that because Stack Sats had died trying. This is episode 20, the Barry Sanders, Ron Anderson episode, whoever else is number 20. Just a couple off the top of my dome for all my sports folks out there. If you don't understand the value prop now, I don't know what to tell you. And I guess that's the beauty of it too. The beauty of it is we are in 2024 and most people still don't understand. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand why Bitcoin is better than everything else. So for me, I get excited every time it goes down because I'm like, man, this is such a huge opportunity for me. This is buying Manhattan real estate 200 years ago. So I literally get excited when a number goes down. So for me, it's funny because of my perspective on Bitcoin. I guess I'm always excited. When it goes up, I'm excited because I say I told you so. When it goes down, I'm excited because I'm buying more of it. But at the end of the day, what I want to get through in this, this short episode of Stack Sats or Die Trying is Bitcoin is going to make you bend the knee for all my Game of Thrones folks. It's going to make you bend the knee. So even people that right now are proponents of it, your family, your friends, your favorite social media influencer who's talking bad about Bitcoin, just look at this headline of this article. And for those that are listening, understand that you've heard the bad things that Biden, and even in an earlier episode, I played with former President Barack Obama said about Bitcoin and him being afraid of people having his words, Swiss bank accounts in their pocket. Bitcoin doesn't care what Obama thinks. Bitcoin doesn't care what Trump thinks. Whether Trump came around or not, it didn't actually matter. And I think that's the most powerful thing about this technology. This decentralized technology that operates globally is such an exciting thing. And when you continue to stack sats or die trying and you study and you get an understanding and a deeper understanding and you see how Bitcoin impacts every part of your life, you change as a person, right? When you become a Bitcoiner, it changes you, right? So I want to make sure I share that. A couple other things I want to share, on this episode before we get out of here. I'm always on these tweets and not streets, but on these tweets. So I want to make sure I share a couple things that I saw on social media that I found very interesting and that I, want to make sure I share with you guys. A couple tweets though. Let me get to this specific one. This specific tweet is from British Hodl. So British BRITISH Hodl or Hodl, however you want to say it, HODL. I like his content too. I watch a lot of his YouTube videos, but he put out this tweet the other day that I found interesting, and it causes arguments and confusion when people say things this way. But I enjoy digging into it a little bit. Pause. Says people with $10 million of Bitcoin will be more powerful than those with $100 million of real estate. The speed of your wealth is sometimes more important than the amount of it. Bitcoiners can solve problems anywhere, anytime. In comparison, real estate becomes sort of limp. Let me repeat that because I don't want all my real estate folks that watch our channel to get upset by this because, it just makes a little sense. People with $10 million of Bitcoin will be more powerful than those with $100 million of real estate. The speed of your wealth is sometimes more important than the amount of it. Bitcoiners can solve problems anywhere, anytime. In comparison, real estate becomes sort of limp. So that reminded me of a situation that I actually had IRL in real life, not on the internet, not no fake stuff. I had a client who accumulated a huge real estate portfolio over a long period of time. he went through a nasty divorce. In the nasty divorce, his wife and even him, they were doing like when I say nasty, they were like, okay, that's in her name. I'm not going to pay that bill to ruin her credit. Oh, that's in his name. I'm not going to pay that bill to ruin his credit. And they harmed each other, but they got divorced. He got to keep a majority of his real estate portfolio. As he was trying to rebuild, he was unable to tap equity, and he had high six figures, close to seven figures in equity in this real estate portfolio. But because his credit was so destroyed, he was unable to get that capital out. And it led to a conversation when he asked me, what is the point of me building all this if I can't even get to it when I actually need it? And I always kept that in the back of my mind. Not too long ago, I was in the middle of a real estate deal and I needed some actual liquid capital to finish this deal. I was able to tap into some Bitcoin I had, get the liquid capital, finish the deal, refi, and then rebuy my Bitcoin. First of all, it made me sick to actually part with the Bitcoin to begin with. But the fact that it was there for me when I needed it and I could do it at the push of a button was one of the most amazing feelings in the world, because a lot of people involved in this deal thought the deal was going to fail. And I'm like, I can get to it. I got liquid capital. So when I read that, I saw a lot of real estate folks in the comments getting upset. I understood exactly what he meant. What is the point of having this equity if you can't get to it? Now, there's caveats with that, right? Again, I'm not an anti-real estate guy, although I'm a Bitcoiner. Real estate is how I make a living and buy my Bitcoin. But one of the things I do with a lot of my property is I will get lines of credit on them just so I can tap that capital when I need it. I don't do it on every property, but some properties I do have, I have HELOCs on them for that reason, to be able to tap into that equity when I need it. But that's an interesting thought about the speed at which you can move your capital, right? Real estate, for the most part, is illiquid. So if you have, especially for my commercial folks, you got big commercial buildings out there, it's not easy to tap into your capital, right? But liquidity is such a powerful thing to know that I can get my money whenever I want it. And that's the other thing about Bitcoin. A lot of you shitcoiners, you're going to run into this when you're buying like such and such dog coin or shark coin or vagina coin, because y'all be buying vagina coins out here. What's going to happen is there's going to be nobody to buy when you need to cash out, and you're going to end up stuck with that, right? I've seen it happen in the stock market with penny stocks, right? Instead of trading something or buying something with high liquidity. In fact, made the mistake myself when I thought I was going to be a penny stock billionaire in my head, buying penny stocks and then trying to get out of it, and there's nobody on the other end. Even after the value seemingly based on the market, the OTC market went up, I'm trying to cash out and there's nobody to buy. No liquidity. Liquidity is very, very valuable. So I totally understood what British Hodl was saying within that specific tweet, but it pissed some folks off. Now, another tweet that I want to leave you with that I found interesting during the course of this week was a tweet from Michael Dell, the founder of Dell Technologies, Dell Computers. Some of you may be watching this on the Dell, you're familiar with that. He tweeted out, just randomly, said, "Scarcity creates value." There's a whole episode within this series on scarcity and why scarcity is so important. And Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin bull, the biggest Bitcoin bull, responded to him that said, "Bitcoin is digital scarcity." This led people to believe that Michael Dell was thinking about somehow taking a position with his company or what have you with Bitcoin on the balance sheet. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. I do that Dell was early on accepting Bitcoin years and years ago, but that was a random thought that he tweeted out. And, people went crazy with the whole Bitcoin narrative based on, him tweeting that out. Excuse me. Speaking of Michael Saylor, right? One more thing I want to leave you with. This was in a podcast, and they asked Michael Saylor about being Bitcoin only. I know the last couple episodes I've been harping on simplification and Bitcoin, and it could be a part of me, digging into my wannabe minimalism, because I'm a struggling minimalist. I've been trying to be a minimalist for years and years in terms of my wardrobe, in terms of everything, but something that I heard Ramit say, that writes the personal finance book. And although I don't agree with everything he says, one thing that he often talks about, and I agree with completely, is the idea of fighting for simplicity, right? And for me, that makes it easier for me to just be simple and buy Bitcoin. I keep saying it. I'm going to say this over and over till some folks actually get it. Bitcoin, and this is not investment advice, I'm just giving you what I do. Bitcoin, S&P, real estate, mind my business. Bitcoin, S&P, real estate, mind my business. I'm doing a little bit of it every day, every week, every month. Bitcoin, real estate, S&P, mind my business. That's a t-shirt. Coming soon. By the way, check out our merch if you're watching this YouTube video. We do got Stack Sats and Die Trying shirts. The shirt I got on now, you know what I'm saying, for my folks when I, stop losing Granny's house. I know this is a Bitcoin show, but y'all still got to stop losing Granny's house, man, because Granny's house can get you some Bitcoin. Anyway, quick video I want to share with you is he was being asked a question about why Bitcoin only. I thought it was funny. It was very sarcastic, but still funny nonetheless. So I want to make sure that I share this with you. And again, for those listening to the audio, this is Michael Saylor being asked why he's Bitcoin only. So take a listen to this real fast. As a matter of fact, let me make sure that I'm sharing the audio of the video because, sometimes technology will play games with you. Yes, it is being shared. So here we go. Michael Saylor being asked why he's Bitcoin only.
But when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be...
How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair?
I am all in on the chair.
Like the point really is you put on one pair of glasses, you've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Did you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? So my point really is, if you're an engine, you get on one airplane. Are you convicted? You put your entire family in the one airplane. Aren't you afraid? Ultimately, if you're a rational individual, when you use knives, do you have copper knives, wooden knives, steel knives, aluminum knives, rubber band knives, diamond knives, because you're afraid to commit to the right knife? It's a tool.
So shout out to Simply Bitcoin. They make amazing content on YouTube as well. They had shared that clip, which came from Impact Theory. And I know that because I'm a fan of Impact Theory as well. The guy, Tom, who runs that. I don't know him personally, but I listen to his podcast in the car at times. So, but that was interesting. Very sarcastic, but I understand his point, right? And I'm not, again, you have to do what works for you. This is not investment advice. I'm nobody's fiduciary, but simplicity, fighting for simplicity and finding things that you believe in and then going all in on those things is something that I'm going to harp on. I'm going to continue to harp on because my goal for the rest of 2024 and 2025 is to literally simplify everything. I want my life on autopilot. I'm on some Timothy Ferriss 40-hour work week thing, but not that extreme, but I'm literally just, I want to focus on the things that I enjoy. And as it pertains to my finances, just have them on autopilot and build wealth in a way that I get to enjoy family, friends in the time that I, have left on this planet. Because again, nothing's wrong with me. I don't want you guys to get scared or nothing, but it's just that when you get older and you start to actually think about things, you think about the things that matter. And I want to spend more time on the things that matter because I've already, not to sound arrogant, but I've kind of figured out where I want to be. Let's put it that way. I figured out where I want to be on the finance side. So now I have to put that on autopilot. And my goal is to help as many other people put that on autopilot as well. No, that doesn't mean course coming. I'm not trying to sell anybody any courses or anything like that. It just means that my perspective is going to be a little bit different, right? So a lot of times we get on these platforms and talk about these high complex things. And I had a meeting the other day when we were talking about trusts, wills, and estates, and I'm like, those things are good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm focusing on a sect of the community that doesn't even know that you should save, right? Because a lot of times the places that I'm in, the people aren't even there. They can't talk about trust and wills because they don't understand how inflation is changing their life. They don't understand why they should be saving. They don't understand the value of land. They don't understand why they should invest at all. So I got to work on that. You guys go do all the complex things. I am fighting for simplicity because, a lot of times people overcomplicate things as a way to get money from you. Let me repeat that. A lot of times people overcomplicate things because they're trying to extrapolate money from you. Be careful out there. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, this has been another episode of Stack Sats to Die Trying. I appreciate all the support. You know, I love coming on here every Monday, going off on tangents that come to my brain just from being involved in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin space. But the one thing I'm always going to tell you to do is stack sats to die trying. You know, stack your Bitcoin, stack your iBit, just keep stacking, stacking, stacking. Love on your family, take care of your community, and just be good people, man. That's what this is all about. It's about a lifestyle. It's not about get rich quick. It's about get poor slowly, and it's about really focusing on the things that matter, man. So as always, I'll show you this shirt too. Stop losing granny's house for those out there losing your granny's house, but always stack sats or die trying. Peace.